Hello, everybody. It is a Thursday evening, and I decided just to go ahead and jump on and go live for a little bit. We have had some time to recuperate after the conference, not much time, but we've had some time. Exactly 1 week ago, we were in the midst of having the Flourish Family Homeschool Conference and just hosting over 325 attendees. I don't have those exact numbers, but we had just people from everywhere, it felt like, and they were there experiencing homeschool and all the fun of just being in community and hanging out with each other. And so it was just a really cool moment. So I have had the pleasure of being in this community and really just getting to know like some really amazing men and women, well, mostly women, who are these moms who function as caregivers, business owners, just doing all the things and watching them be supported in family and in community just left me kind of awestruck like several years ago. So I decided that I would love for the world to see what this looks like here in this community. So, as many of you probably know, so I've spent several years being a part of a homeschool group in Georgia. The DeKalb Christian Home Educators. Can't say enough good things about them and the people that I've met there. But one of the things that I have enjoyed most about that community and other communities that are here is that you just really get to see parents putting their best foot forward at all times, knowing that they have a short period of time with their kids, that this time is precious, that this time is beautiful, and that this time deserves to be rich and amazing. And so, and many of these parents, they take very seriously the space of creating a nurturing and protected childhood that is full of joy, that gives the child experiences and confidence in a way that they may not be necessarily able to gain, in a public school setting. Not to say that public school settings are terrible or anything like that. Not at all. We here at this platform, we really, and I say it all the time, I highly respect and appreciate the teachers that are in our lives because I would not be homeschooling if it were not for a teacher who came along and was like, hey, and suggested to me homeschooling because I was having some difficulties with my son at the time, trying to really navigate him in the fourth grade. Plus, there was a bullying thing. And so the teacher actually suggested, she said, you're always here. You ever thought about homeschooling? You do so many volunteer activities here. Why don't you just do it at home? Didn't feel confident at first, but to have my local school just basically say, I think you can do this, and kind of introduce me to it was really cool. But one of the things I would say about this platform, about the Flourish Family Homeschool Events and the Georgia Black Home Educators Network, is that this platform is really created around family. Whatever your family looks like, whatever you're trying to do is created around the fact that your family is trying to do the best for the children that are in your care. And so I think this week at the Flourish Family Homeschool Conference, we got a chance to really live out Psalms 1 through 3, where it's like we will be in the midst of godly counsel, not sit in the seat of the scoffer or the scorner, and that we will be watered. We will be watered by the word, watered by so that we can be nourished and our families can grow and prosper. And at the end of the day, we can flourish. And so we are grateful for so many who came along during this and were able to just be in the midst. We had Jamie Grace, a former homeschooler, to be able to come to perform, which is a very beautiful thing for many of our homeschoolers to see that your dreams and the things that you get to do, they can be very unique. They can be different, and you can truly chart your own path. We had some really cool art to be presented by some of our kids that was a part of our decorations there, and so all those pictures and everything will be coming out soon. But I have to say that I had so many families come up to me and say that this was absolutely a place that they were able to go with other families, diverse families, several families, and it felt like a respite. And so I've been kind of like harking on this whole respite thing, probably like most of the half of the year, because I have had my own issues with not taking the necessary respite that I need to take care of myself. I spent, let's see, in 2024, I spent probably a total of 12 days in the hospital. At one point, I was there for 7 days straight. So I had various things going on. At the end of the day, all those things came back to, was I really listening to my body and to my mind? And so in talking to many of the other parents and moms, sometimes I think that we exist in a space where our bodies are screaming at us, you need to take a moment. You need to rest. You need to calm down. You need to sit down. My younger sister, Valerie, she has this phrase that she says, and she will say, you look like a woman on the verge. That is her kind, loving way of saying, ma'am, there's a lot going on over there, and you look like you are on the verge. Now, when we say on the verge, we mean like on the verge of something that's not good. Something is about to happen. You're either going to fall out or you're going to have a moment of just disorganization that you drop the ball somewhere. But if you take a minute and take a moment and take a respite, it's okay. Your children do not have to go to every activity. Just because you are homeschooling does not mean your schedule has to be packed with things to do. There are amazing, wonderful things you can do at home. Y'all can bake, paint, color, plant a garden. I know with my own children, we used to have a moment in the afternoon where I would tell them, hey, you go in your room and everyone take their long time to pray. And of course, you sneak in there and look, and guess what? They're sound asleep, taking a nap and everything. But that was fine, because that was me trying to institute with them that we all need to rest. We all need to have a moment. And there's nothing wrong when you're homeschooling. We're all in the house all day, sometimes together. And regardless if you're in the house all day or if you're going to activities, you need to have some time to yourself. And so I have been really talking about that a lot, and also been concerned about some of the mental health of some of the people that I know in reference to the stress of the world. Our new president has been in office, I want to say 17 days, maybe. And feels like every day something new is happening. Something new is going on. Something that makes you go, really? This what we doing? This what we doing right here? This was happening? And with some of us, some people, it's just causing stress, because the whole environment just feels like the language, the rhetoric, the emotions around is like, I really don't want to hear anything about you being different. I don't want to hear anything about you being other. I need you to sit and be quiet and be unseen. And for so long, so many of us have fought to be seen as Black, Christian, a woman, to be seen as of value and of worth. And so much of that is being taken to, we just need you to not be seen. We don't want to hear about your different. But I do welcome within the homeschooling community, because I get to control my child's education here. And so I can spend some time on African American history. I can have African American literature where I'm going through all the different genres. And I can sit with my kids and we can read the Diary of Jarena Lee and go over Octavia Butler's novel. We can read some plays from August Wilson, and we can have some moments with some poetry from Nikki Giovanni. And if we want to, because we from Atlanta, we can listen to some Outkast in the afternoon if we want to, because we AT aliens. So I can cultivate the culture, cultivate the space, sit with my kids and listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire in the evenings, just having our own respite space that is our space. And so I encourage parents, whether your children are in public school or private school or whatever they're in, that in this season, because there's so much of the language that is being absorbed by children and by adults and young adults that just make you feel stressed. Just feel stressed. I know I feel stressed listening to some of the things that are coming out. Because anytime I hear the word family separation, I don't know about anybody else, but I almost, in my heart of hearts, feel just stressed to hear that word family separation, because I really am. It's almost like I'm in a post-traumatic stress situation. I know Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about post-traumatic slave trauma at one point. And so I don't know what is in me that makes me feel so stressed when I hear family separation. It does bring up stress to me. And I don't know if it's ancestral because of the chattel slavery legacy that my people come from, that anybody would be separated from their folk. It makes me feel some sort of way. And so in this season, I try to be aware of the news, but I really know that I cannot have it on that much because I can't function with the stress. And so I just want to encourage any parent out there or anybody who's dealing with listening to all of this in the atmosphere to stop, pause, and focus on you first thing in the morning. Focus on what you need. Pray, meditate. I know my pastor says you win the day when you win the morning. Marlon Harris at New Life, he says that you win the day when you win the morning. When you wake up, do not pick up that cell phone. Do not turn it on. Don't scroll. Don't even get yourself in the habit of saying, well, I'm picking it up because my Bible app on there. Take it from me to pick it up and to see headlines regardless. Sometimes I don't make it to my Bible app to 15, 20 minutes after I picked it up. Get yourself an old-fashioned journal, a Bible, or whatever you need and put it next to your bed. Let that be what you use first thing in the morning. Do not spend that time going in your phone. It is draining. And stop spending your last moments of the night on your phone. I remember somebody said that February for them was going to be free February. And I was like, what does that mean? They said they were taking the whole month of February to take away all social media off their phone, just taking it off their phone. So it's not easily accessed. Because when you remove your phone, take your phone away from you for a day, and you will realize how many times you go to reach for it. And then you'll be like, you know what, I'm reaching for it too much. So for me, I'm trying to, even though social media is what I'm doing to publicize things here at this platform, I do know there's also time for me to spend some time alone and read and go over various things that I would like to do. And so one of the things that I would like to talk about was that this time I've been looking very much at starting the homeschool research edition of Black History Month, a reading challenge. And what if we were to look very closely at the homeschooling and education from the perspective of so many of our Black scholars. And so we are going to put up every week a list of books. And these are just things you can read through and have a moment just to be in the midst of thinking about something other than what's on the news and what's in front of us. So each day, I'll spotlight a Black philosopher, educational expert, or homeschool researcher who has worked to shape learning and advocacy and liberation. So I want you to join us in this. Please leave your comments under the posts that you find on Facebook or Instagram as you're reading, reflecting, and sharing your insights. I also see this as a moment for a lot of y'all to do your own research. So often people come to me and say, is homeschooling right for me? And I go, I can't say if it is or it isn't. I never tell someone that homeschooling is the right thing for them, and I never tell a person that public school isn't the right thing for them. I really personally believe that your individual journey is something where you're going to have to sit down, pray about it, research it. Don't forget to talk to your spouse about it, because I do know some people say, we're homeschooling. I would let you tell your husband. She said, oh, forgot about him. Probably should have told him. Yeah, you may want to tell him that. So when he wakes up and he looks over and he go, all these kids at home all day. But this is what this is something that I have spent time reading many of these books. Most of these books that are actually in this week, I've read all of them. And so starting with this week from February 1st through the 8th, we are starting with my favorite book, which is Morning by Morning, How I Homeschool My African-American Boys to the Ivy League by Paula Penn Norbert. This book has a very personal place for me, because when I started homeschooling, the public school teacher who suggested I homeschool, and I was like, this woman is crazy. She just don't want to deal with my child and whatever. And I was like, Lord, there is no way I'm homeschooling. You have to give me a sign. And guess what? I walked into my refuge, which was the Salem Panola Library here in Georgia, and sitting on the display in the middle of the table, like sitting up there, was this book and several others. So I read and I picked this book up, and it was not a step-by-step homeschooling book. It was more of a book where we would just sit still and kind of read through many of the things. You would read through her accounts and things, and how did she get to this journey? And so I just really loved it. The second book that we're going to be looking at is, and here's Paula Penn Norbert. I hope I'm saying her name right. It's not Nabert. I really hope I am. But the second book we're going to look at is it's the thesis by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. Fun fact, did you know that The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, her album that Lauryn Hill put out in 1998, is actually a play on words, according to this. And so according to as this book. So this book is talking about how there is so much cultural indoctrination in American schools that do not hold up the Black experience or Black students to be special, to be amazing. And that he is in this book saying one thing: we need to do it for ourselves. You need to do it for ourselves. And that history shows us that if the power that we have, if you have power over someone's mind, you have all the power over them forever. And so he is encouraging in this book to really go, and many of the philosophies and the things that he's talking about in this book with cultural indoctrination, that people can feel inferior, that happens today. Actually, he talks about in this book in that way. I kind of feel like this book also leans upon, like, Dr. Bettina Love has, she has some scholarly writings on spirit murder. And so spirit murder is the systematic practice of really just making children's self-confidence and the way they feel about themselves, just eroding it and destroying it. And so it's called spirit murder. If you want to look it up, we'll probably later on next week, I'll probably put up maybe some writings from her and the other doctor. I think her name Dr. Patricia. I can't remember, but I will put up their information so you can learn more. Another book, and this lady here, Dr. Angel Param, she was able to come to our very first 2023 Black Family Homeschool Conference. And it was called The Black Intellectual Experience. Tradition is the name of her book. And in her book, Dr. Angel, along with Dr. Prather, they both talk about all the spaces in history where there is an intellectual tradition in the African American community, because you always hear about Phyllis Wheatley, Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, that these pioneers who came before us in this educational arena, they all were classically trained. They had Christian classical education. And so she really, in this space, really talks about the liberation and the beauty and the truth and the goodness that comes from this great tradition of education. The next book is Marva Collins' Way. And so this is about Marva Collins. She was in Chicago school system. She was a teacher. And basically, if you were to think about Marva Collins today, you would think she is the person who created a micro school. Even though she had her own private school, when I look at what she created, she was a teacher and she decided to pull a remnant of children from the school system who were struggling, and she started her own school. These children thrive. These children have done amazing things. There was a 60-minute special about her school, and she really embodied taking the time to really guide parents and to guide students and to say to them constantly, you can do it. You can achieve anything you want to. And so Marva Collins' Way is an amazing book. Also, I know Joyce Burgess, who is the president of the National Black Home Educators Association. She has written several times about her on her Facebook page, Marva Collins, because she was her friend. So if you want to learn more and get a little bit more in depth, please read this book and also look at the National Black Home Educators page. Now, this is a book I personally have not read, A Passionate Mind in Relentless Pursuit, The Vision of Mary McLeod Bethune. The reason I picked this book, because I know like many of y'all probably saw the Netflix series by Tyler Perry, what was it, 6888? Where it was the young lady, the huge battalion of African American soldiers who were the male battalion for the Army. And so in that depiction, I think Oprah Winfrey, she played Mary McLeod Bethune because she was very instrumental in getting the Negro women Army battalion to be able to be a part of this mission to make sure the mail was getting delivered. And so one of the things about Mary McLeod Bethune is that she was so influential in so many places, and she knew everybody. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Roosevelt was a friend. She had the ability to be in places and to be in rooms with the politicians of the day. And in the end, as you know, we have Bethune-Cookman College down in Florida, and I think Daytona, Florida. And she started that school with 5 girls, and her legacy has gone on. So one of the beautiful things I always say, and if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that I just put up something today. And the question I asked in reference to this book is, what is your legacy? What is your legacy? And so Mary McLeod Bethune has left us with an amazing legacy. Okay, this is a personal favorite of mine. I love some bell hooks. I don't know about anybody else, but I just feel like when you read through, even though she was in a lot of her books, she's talking about classroom teaching and things like that. She was always talking about education is a practice for freedom, because you're teaching people how to think. You're teaching people how to analyze the arguments, not even just the arguments, but the emotions and the feelings that are connecting them to the world. And so we can have a deeper connection. And so she really delves into this book, Teaching to Transgress. The revolution starts at the kitchen table. I truly believe that new ideas and new thoughts are brimming and starting at a family's table. When you're sitting at dinner and you're discussing the things of the world that you've seen in the news, and you're giving your children some moral guidelines for why what you are seeing, you feel that way about it, and you're giving your kids the space to disagree with you. I'm gonna be honest, I have a 23-year-old, 21-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And let me tell you, these are four very opinionated people. Sometimes they'll even call me out and say, hey, mommy, yeah, that train of thought you have is a little bit wrong or a little bit mean. Because I have said some things here in the privacy of my home that the kids go, that's not nice. And I'm like, okay, all right. I have been called out. And so in this Teaching to Transgress, she combines the practical knowledge of the classroom with a deeply felt connection to the world of emotions and feelings. And so there's nothing wrong with connecting what you hear in the world with how does it resonate with you, with how you feel? And also, how can you create a place that's more harmonious and nurturing for the world? I feel like that's something that we try to do here at the Flourish platform. Now, this next book here's the question that I put up for this book on our Facebook. And the question I put up is, who is homeschooling and why? Who else is homeschooling? Sometimes I know some people are in communities where there are not many homeschoolers, or there are not even many homeschoolers that look like them. And so they're like, well, why are we homeschooling? And so homeschooling Black children in the United States, theory, practice, and popular culture is a convening of the minds and thought that Dr. Sherfield Smith and Dr. Khadijah Coleman Ali, I think I said her name right, these two have put together a book that combines researchers and parents and people who are group leads and leaders in the homeschooling community from 2021, 2022, and 2023. And basically, I think this book came out in 2023, actually. And so it's just chronicling so many of the things. I think the book starts in the beginning with Dr. Sherfield Smith, really going through the 70 years since Brown versus Board of Education, which I think that was in 1954, maybe. So I think that's 70 years, 54, 2004, maybe 70 years, something like that. And so she's really going through and chronicling many of the things that have happened in that time and in that space, that yes, we fought for the right to have equal education, but has it been equal? Has it been adequate? And has it been what we needed? That's the beginning of the book. When we get to the end of the book, Dr. Khadijah, she in turn ends with speaking more about the amazing, innovative place of creating your own academic experience with dual enrollment. And so this is a book that I feel like it's a little bit of something for everybody in here. If you are an educator, a researcher, a parent, even a high school student who wanted to look a little bit more like, why is this? My parents are trying to they want to homeschool, and you're like just one of those kids who you don't mind reading a little bit extra on it. This is that book for you. And this last book, I think this is my last book I have up here. This is The Black Intellectual Thought in Education. And so with this book, this is just many of the scholars, just a compilation of all the scholars and everything put together. And Anna Julia Cooper, Carter G. Woodson, Alan Leroy Locke. And so this book is it just chronicles some of their theses, some of their thoughts, really taking a moment to have some critical social theory analysis, and seeks to advocate for why Black intellectual thought in education is vitally important. And so those are the books that we are doing for this week. I will make sure that next week we will have a whole new set of books, and I'm excited about the set that we have next week, because next week we're going to feature some of the people in our homeschool communities who are authors. And there are so many people in this homeschool community that are actually authors. So we have Joyce Burgess, Nicole Kennedy Green, Lanisser James, let's see, Cheryl Carter. There are so many of our homeschool contributors here in this community that have actually written amazing books and will help you walk through this journey. And so, and Amber O'Neill Johnston. So we're going to probably delve a little bit more into the practical and the day-to-day of being a homeschool parent, homeschool mom, and just organizing your day. Before I leave out for this evening, I just wanted to say to anybody out there, if you're thinking about taking the leap to come to this side of the pond, give it a try. You never know. I will truly say that I am on the other. I'm not all the way on the other side, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have young children anymore. I have homeschooled kids to be teenagers and kids into college. And so I will say this to you. There is nothing like sitting in a place and watching your young adult children have a conversation about you that is actually glowing, and they actually give you a little bit of your due. So I know in Proverbs 31, it says that the woman that she rises and her children call her blessed. I have had that moment. I'm surprised I've had that moment this soon. I thought my kids would be in their 30s before I would get that moment, but I've had that moment. I've had some of that moment where they will be sitting alone and they will say, "You remember when Mama did this? You remember when Daddy took us here? Do you remember? Do you remember?" And there's a smile on their face when they're recounting stories of old. I remember at the homeschool conference, Anita Gibson from the National Homeschool Advocacy, her children are in their mid-30s, and she has grandkids now, and she has homeschooled them all the way through to college, and they've got higher education and masters and things. And she's saying that it's just something to be on vacation with your older kids, and during the holidays, and they sit around the table and laugh and talk and recount the homeschooling days of the beautiful and wonderful things that happen. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Anita said something that I thought I was the only person this happens to. Your kids are recounting amazing times they had, and you looking like, I don't even remember that. I don't remember that field trip. I don't remember going there. I don't remember any of that conversation you said we had that was so encouraging and impactful, and me accessing all the parts of my gentle parenting. I don't remember any of it. And Anita said that, I was thinking to myself, okay, I thought I was the only one. Because in that space of your kids sitting together and communicating, I've realized something that is a beautiful piece of fruit that is falling from the tree of homeschooling. And that is that my kids are friends. There is something to be said for having family and children that interact with each other with respect, with love, with care, with compassion, dropping the judgmental tones with each other, and they are friends. That is something that I think that any parent can feel confident in when they lay their head to rest at the end of their days, and they can say, I raised people who loved each other, who know how to love each other, who know how to love community, and that are friends. Because the beautiful thing about siblings, and people don't realize this, siblings are vitally important. See, your parents will be there at the beginning of your life. They may not be there at the end of your journey. Your spouse comes in the middle of your journey, and they may be there to the end of your journey. But guess who's there for the majority of your journey from beginning to end? Your siblings. Your siblings are right there and can remember when mama and daddy did. They can remember the high school days. They can remember when you got married, or that relationship where it was like, girl, I don't know why you picked him. He was a mess. They remember the hair days that didn't work for you. The moments where you tried to reinvent yourself and be something different and talk with a New York accent when you know you from Georgia. I know. They remember the times where you did the big chop, the silk press, now the locks. They remember everything. And so in that place, I want my children with their siblings to be friends. Because when your children are friends as siblings, guess what? When your kids have kids, the cousins will be best friends too. Can't help it. Some of us remember the days of our cousins being our best friend. You couldn't wait for Thanksgiving because you get with your cousins. And you couldn't wait to Christmas break because I'm about to go to my cousins. Summertime, I'm about to go to grandma's house and be with my cousins. And so that right there ensures legacy, ensures the longevity of my family. And so as I raise my kids to be disciples of Jesus Christ, I'm also raising them to be each other's friends. So for anybody who's thinking about, is this for me or whether it's not for me, homeschooling, I will say, hey, it doesn't matter. All that matters is, what legacy are you living with the children that you have? Are they kind to each other? Are they kind to you? And will they show kindness to the world? So that's it for me for this evening for Flourishing Conversations. We greatly appreciate all the support we've had for the conference. And if by any chance anyone wants to possibly come forward and donate anything to the conference, hey, we still got bills around here, y'all. So if you want to go ahead and donate, we will greatly appreciate it. We've had so many families that we have given, we've given tickets to for the homeschool conference this year. And we are just excited that we were able to do that. So if you will go to flourishhomeschoolevents.org and you will click on the donate button, you will have the opportunity to see all of the different ways in which you can donate to this platform. I know as for myself and so many of us who are here, we're just excited to be able to present just a place where parents can come and share and learn more and be there in community. So if you have an opportunity, go to flourishhomeschoolevents.org, click on the top button where it says donate. We have just finished the conference and we did give away a lot of tickets, but we want to make sure that our platform that we have here continues. So, hey, y'all be blessed. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Like I said, donate at flourishhomeschoolevents.org. Click on donate. We have 3 options there of PayPal, Zelle, and Cash App. As for me, if you would like to get in contact with me at any time, you can reach out to me at NicolePDoyle.com. Or you can also reach out to me, NicolePDoyle@gmail.com. Once again, thank you so much for being here and listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful evening.